Hey guys, Alucard here, also known as Wes Keldner's biggest fan. And today I have a video on some major issues that still exist in TCM, and why at the core I think it's going to ruin the future of the game. The game is already entering a cycle where one side does not want to play that much, and the other side is waiting longer and longer for lobbies and getting bored. I don't want to see this game fail, I want it to succeed. I hope you guys enjoy watching. Okay, so I wrote a lot about this, but the victim rush meta has so many different, like I had to break it down because that is so much different problems that I don't think it's ever going to get fixed. And I think it's why the game's going to die. And I could talk about why. But the design intention versus reality, the noise isn't enough of a penalty. There's incentives rewarding rush over stealth. I'll talk about all of it. But basically, the design intention versus reality. So did you know that Grandpa can wake up on his own after a few minutes if neither side makes noise or feeds him? Did you know that? I didn't know that until a few days ago, and I've been playing this game for a lot of hours. But one game, a custom game, we were just AFK for a little bit, and he just suddenly woke up after a couple minutes. And it just said specifically, Grandpa woke up. It didn't say why. He just wakes up. That means the devs thought that there's a possible world where the family doesn't feed him by then, and also the victims don't make noise or open a door by then. They thought there's a world where they're playing that stealthy, and somehow family's that slow at feeding blood that there's even a necessary mechanic that Grandpa wakes up on his own for some reason. That just shows you something. The fact that most people probably didn't even know that it's a thing. They just automatically wakes up after some time. Shows you that what they designed and how they thought people were going to play totally doesn't connect with reality. That's just one example though. It's an unrealistic expectation of stealth and stuff that doesn't occur because they realize it sucks. And the developers thought people would play slow and stealthy, but they don't. And they haven't really adjusted at all to that. Even though this was a glaring problem in the tech test, I made a video on it months ago. The developers didn't address it because they just rushed the game out. I said they did their own rush. They rushed the game out on August 18th knowing all these issues, and a proof that it was rushed is because there was a developer response before that said the custom keybinds weren't in there on launch because they just didn't make it in time because it was rushed. The developers expect people to play a certain way. And I call this the developer's curse. They try to imagine how an average person would play the game instead of trying to min-max and optimally play themselves, like in testing. I'm really disappointed that the devs are guilty of this, since I thought they learned from Friday the 13th. But a lot of similar problems from that game reflect the same pattern in this game. And that's why I don't know if this game has a future, since it seems like they're just adverse to changing how they do things, and they're going to just keep doing it. They don't care. This pain point undermines the majority of issues in the game. They somehow didn't expect people to memorize the gaps, toolboxes, family spawns, min-max proficiency to speedrun lockpicking and all that stuff. They thought people would play slowly and scared even after learning what to do, and the devs were wrong. Went back to Scout and got hysterical and activated. Damn, dude, that's lucky. How long is it? I think it's like 2 or 3 minutes. I think it's like 3 minutes, I believe. I'd have to double check the pod. I think it's about 3 minutes and he wakes up automatically. I'm not sure for it. What's up, Dark? Sorry, I'll keep going. So noise is not enough of a penalty. I said before, noise is not a penalty, specifically. And that's because waking him up has no drawback, unless the family can rush the basement immediately. But you know who they pick, because the devs thought it's smart that you see the other team. So if they have Sissy, for example, on Slaughterhouse, it's literally impossible to ever be afraid of her coming down there right away. You can't. She's too far. She's all the way at the battery, which she no longer needs to turn on. Because the devs haven't adapted to the game. I'll talk more about that, but they haven't adapted to the changes in gameplay since like alpha and the tech test. They haven't even changed confusing mechanic as a perk. That was when people had to turn the gen on, in the tech test at first. You had to turn everything on by default. They've changed that since then, thank God. But they haven't changed the perk that's tied to that. And it's been over a month, man. It's like unacceptably slow. And that was months ago that they've already they had changed that so the gen starts on. Soinky had told me back when they did the in-person second tech test at some point, like a month later. They had already changed that then. So even since months ago, before the game came out, they haven't adapted that perk. They've just been rushing everything, and they're too slow at changing. They're not too slow at doing some weekly fixes, but they're too slow at changing the core problems. That's why this game's not going to last. But anyway, it's only one part of the problem. And depending on the family that they're against, it's not even a real punishment that you can rush down there. So for example, Sissy spawns too far. Noise in I talked all about all that. Noise in general doesn't stop people from spamming to get lockpicks, bone scraps, or turn a valve. They only care in certain cases where they have snuck into a major area, like a building on Slaughterhouse, or if they don't want family to know they've retreated back to the basement in the mid-game. So there's some niche situations they actually don't want to make noise, but for the most part of the game, they don't care. Some specific situations, yes, they want to try to be sneaky, I guess, and it slows them down a little bit. But by that point, you might already be screwed. Noise needs to be a much harsher punishment. Like I say, right here, I suggest highlight them for 20 seconds if they cross that threshold or something. It's got to be something really I know it sounds OP. It's got to be something that they don't want to make noise. Like, oh man, I better not make noise. Because right now, it's nothing. They don't care if you know right where they are. You know, there needs to be something where they're a little bit afraid of doing it because it might screw them over. If they spam past that line in the minigame, if they need to simply limit the speed that they can do things, which is probably the whole point of the noise, that they're afraid to do it any faster or they're going to make noise. You know what I'm saying? That's probably the whole idea behind it. It just doesn't work. In theory, you would think a victim doesn't want to make noise because a family member might try to kill them, but in reality, they're taking more of a risk by being slower and stealthier since a family member has a higher chance of patrolling to where they are, versus them trying to react quickly or getting an item. If they're doing this near a wall gap, it's even more safe because now there's zero risk. Even if they alert them, they know they can get away in time. And what's up, Squirts? Thanks for the lurk. What's up, Galactic? The design mechanic around the way they think players will react to sound. Yes, exactly. Yeah, they can't assume that people will play. It's not enough. It's not. This is why the game's gonna like ultimately fail. I think, sadly, I don't want to say that, but it just is. Unless Wes wakes up one day and says, "You know what, guys? I've had a revelation. We can't keep doing things the same way. We got to like step it up. We got to do some super crazy stuff that other companies don't do." Because right now they're not being much different. Evil Dead, Resistance, it's the same pattern. You see one side, somehow they managed this in a 3v4 too. It's not even like a 1v4 where you could maybe understand why it's harder to balance. I understand 3v4 is also hard to balance, but somehow they made it so somehow the victims/survivors are just so strong that the other side doesn't want to play, and then the lobbies take longer. It's like the same exact downwards spiral. And now that people don't want to play family, they're trying to like, oh man, how do we make that desirable? I thought it was good. You know, now they're just too slow at doing it, and in the meantime, their changes are too little and too slow, where it's like the actual core gameplay. So people don't want to just suffer in the meantime. So now they switch to victim if they do keep playing. Now that makes the queue times even more lopsided and even more fried. That's how you get people. Everyone quits. That's what happens. Every single ASIM, this happens. And this game that's supposed to be so different isn't with that problem. It's not. They're supposed to be different. They're supposed to be having like I heard all this passion and talk, and it's like handled the same way. It's very disappointing. The incentives reward rushing over stealth. You get items faster if you rush. You unlock doors before family can even set up, making progress while all the victims are alive. You deny time for the family to feed grandpa. You get more points. You win. The family can't destroy crawl spaces or enough barricades in time. The faster you do things, the more screwed the family is. So the whole game incentivizes rushing by default. And they get punished for being slower. So what are they going to do as they learn how to play? They're going to rush because it's better. These are all incentives that reward rushing over stealth. Problem with the core game design is that if victims don't rush, they have a much higher chance to lose. Families are given more time to set up. Like I said, more time to destroy stuff. I said all that. It causes more chaos for the family and takes advantage of their fixed spawn points, which they will know, and can be very far away depending on who it is. It denies the Hitchhiker time to set up traps. It doesn't let family have time to collect blood. It's difficult to react for the majority of players because everything happens too fast. Stuns also add to this issue since the family member that does try to stop them just gets stunned and then they run past them. Even with the stun locking, it's still a problem. The only solution I can see to this that I've suggested is to force victims to have to wait a certain amount of time before they can actually leave the basement. I know this sounds like it sucks, but I just think I think this is what they thought people would do, and it's what they have to do. Because like they thought people would just naturally take their time leaving, right? Do all the exits and stuff, but they usually don't. That's the problem, and they can't really force them to play the way they want unless they actually just force them, which is what I'm suggesting. You have to force it. I feel like at the same time, I feel like you need to do something where they can't leave, but the family can't feed grandpa or go down there. You need to make it both sides, otherwise it's going to be lopsided. I feel like neither side should be able to kind of either leave or rush down there for the first couple of minutes. At least 2 minutes, maybe two. I think between 2 and 3 minutes. That doesn't sound very long, but it's like an eternity compared to the rush groups you go against at the high level. I think that's what they expected people would do anyway, to take 2 or 3 minutes before they leave. I think that's what they wanted. But I think they just have to make it like that. They can still unlock the doors. They just can't open them. They can still get tools, items, everything, get all set up. I feel like that would be much better for the game's health. You just don't let them leave. Don't let the family feed, grandpa blood. Don't let the family go down there, until they can actually leave. There just needs to be a certain amount of time that they can do it. I don't know like how to make it better than that. You do probably need a way to keep the other family members from just like standing at the basement exit doors. But I don't know, like currently how it is, you could already kind of stand at the basement exit doors depending on your team comp. Like if you have Cook and Johnny or something, you can probably get there real quick on Slaughterhouse. and guard that anyway, so it'd be the same problem. But we need time to play for both sides. Like, you need time to do stuff. You can't, otherwise they're just going to rush out. I don't know if this is like the perfect solution, but they need something like this. I would say family perks. Oh yeah, sorry, this is the second thing. Family perks and abilities lack different playstyle. For the rush, that's pretty much my only idea. You have to just make them not be able to, at least for phase 1. I think for phase 1, it should be about escaping Leatherface, give you a chance to kill them as Leatherface, even if it's a small chance. Chance to break stuff down there, so you don't have to just, like, you know, you can't even break stuff right now. You have no time. You have to just go up. You have no time to break the pallets that are all there intended for you to have to break and slow you down. You can't do it. You just don't have time. Like, that's why the game's so not fun for family. I can break it. It's like, just because you just can't breathe. You have no time to do anything until you actually kill people. Then you can actually stop for a second, maybe play a little like it's intended, feed grandpa and stuff. Before that, you can't do shit. Yeah, I don't think I disagree. I don't think there's a conspiracy that they don't want the game to succeed. I just think that they just somehow don't see how bad the game design is, like, because of this stuff, and like why they need to change it so quickly and why it's so boring. But let me talk about this one. This is another big one that makes the game so bad right now. Family perks and abilities lack different playstyle options. Tier 3 abilities don't encourage a different playstyle. Same thing with a lot of perks. A couple of like Wireframe do sort of try to encourage something different, but it's still mostly the same. But it doesn't feel different, really. You're playing everything repetitively very similar. With like, I remember Matt Shot just said, like, my Connie is different than your Connie. I don't really know about victims, but when it comes to family, you're Leatherface. Maybe you have some different damage perks or something, but you're gonna play him the exact same way. You're gonna try to overhead rev people. You're gonna try to, you know, you're gonna break the barricade or whatever. There's no different way to really play. Nothing's gonna change how you attack differently or something. You know, like, you're gonna play maybe rough cut because it doesn't apply to the overhead attack. But I think that's a bug, honestly. I don't think it's made to like encourage anything different. I think it's just bugged. But there's not really any reason to play any different, no matter what perks you take. You know, it's like, that's the thing with this game. Like, you're just gonna play the same anyway, basically. Different perks do matter, like how fast you can move and stuff with Scout, but other than that, it's not going to change how you play still. The tier 3 abilities should be important for defining different ways of playing the character, but in reality they don't. During the metagame stream, like I said, Matt said, you know, characters would feel totally different. No, they don't. Not true. Maybe that was the goal. They didn't accomplish it, though. Leatherface is a good example. There's actually one specific preset you should always do, which is bottom right, middle, middle. And the reason for that is because you need the middle perk, stall resistance, or you have a possibility of stalling every single time you overhead swing or overhead attack, which is really not fun, and changes the whole game for him and makes it worse for him. So you have to take that. It's mandatory. I don't know why they have something mandatory that you absolutely have to take, but you do on him. There's no choice. The other one you might as well take is instant rev. I guess you could take either of the other ones, but the left side makes it slower for you to lift up the chainsaw over your head, so it's never going to take anything from the left. Left side as it currently is in the game. You could potentially take overheat cooldown, but I don't know why. But there's really, even whether or not you take the instant rev, it doesn't change how you play next to the fall. It doesn't change how you play, is my point. And also one of them is mandatory, which is stall resistance. You just have to take it. Since the ability tree perks don't stack, there is no point to go straight up the middle. And every perk on the left side, like I said, makes it longer to hold it. I said all that. None of his unique perks change his playstyle either. Rough Cut especially is strange because it doesn't apply on the overhead attack, like I said. We've tested it. You pretty much either want to pick the left side of the tree for big swings and all damage, or the right side with Scout. There's no reason to ever go up the middle. The only unique perk you could argue would change his playstyle is Bloodlust, which involves the gallows, but it's nearly impossible to consistently bleed someone out and then actually make it to a gallows against anyone competent at an early point in the game. Plus, it takes a while to walk there. So you're wasting a lot of valuable patrol time and everything while they're all rushing out. And you're probably screwing your team over by doing that instead of just killing them. Then if they actually stun you somehow, the guy comes back to life when he could have been dead already. Like, you could just lose. You could throw the game like this instead of just killing somebody. Plus, that also means you had to kill the first person without this buff. So why do you need the buff if you're already killing people without it? I don't know. What else did I say? The other perks, like bringing home the bacon, are just like a troll perk that you highlight yourself for your team. Hey guys, I got him. Everyone look at me. Even though you could use family focus and do the same thing. 2-cycle charge. You don't need stamina to overhead sprint. So it's like, I don't know why people take this sometimes, but it doesn't really do much. You always want to be doing the overhead sprint as much as possible to be the fastest movement speed. So it's not, even with it, it doesn't change how you play. You still do the same thing. Even people that I see equip this, some streamers, they still try to overhead sprint everywhere. So I don't even know why they do this, but for whatever reason, they don't change their play style either way. Master Key doesn't either, and you also have to wait before you get the barge prompt. I've tested it. So you probably could have just started destroying the door and done it in a similar time frame as barging it most of the time, because you have to wait for that prompt to appear, because it's, you know, janky. But even if you don't, even if it worked perfectly, it still doesn't really change your playstyle. And it also revolves around them latching a door kind of in front of you, to even get value from it. But all these perks that are all unique and all the other stuff, my point is they don't change how you play Leatherface. You play them exactly the same. What else? Yeah, they just do nothing. So they fixed that? Oh, okay, that's good. I mean, that's good to know, but even still, if they fix that, well, they do stay. They already stayed in the map as the last victim. That when they DC, when you try to take them to the gallows, usually the game ends, I think. But yeah, the other victims did stay even when they DC. I'm pretty sure, like their bodies stay. I think that already happened. But here's an example of some suggestions I have. Okay, to make this different. Now these are going to be overpowered and sound stupid, but this is like an example of what they got to go for though. So I have an ability. So I want there. So there used to be a special ability that was listed on the wiki that when his chainsaw was off, he could do like a knockout attack, like that is on a cooldown or something. So it'd be like a, you know, like you lose all your movement speed and everything and damage potential, but if you actually catch up to them somehow, surprise them with the chainsaw off, you can suddenly just knock them out, I guess, and execute them. They didn't put that into the game though. That was originally, I think, leaked or something, but it's not in the game. That could be cool though. That would give you a reason to turn it off. Right now, you have no reason to turn it off except to avoid overheating. There's no reason to ever turn it off. Even if you sneak up on them, by the time you instant rev, they get away. So there's no point to do it. But here's my suggestions. Now, these might sound crazy, but this is random stuff I just came up with. After 10 seconds of the chainsaw being off, you have no terror radius until 10 seconds after you turn it on. Your chainsaw is silent while you have no terror. So the point of this would be like you don't have your chainsaw on for a bit, especially in the beginning. And then once you turn it on, you have 10 seconds you can sneak up on them. But they have to be kind of watching for you. The point of this would be that if they try to slam lockpicks and stuff, they have no warning when you're coming. They have to actually be nervous about that and be calling you out. I don't know if this would be good or not, but I feel like I thought this would be interesting. This one was if you land an overhead attack and then while they're stunned, you turn your chainsaw off, you get 8 stacks of rough cut, so that, which doesn't apply or anything, but every attack that you do after you turn it on, until you like uses one of those 8 stacks and it subtracts it. The idea for this is that if you hit Anna, right, or somebody that you know has no cell, or you think they have no cell, you don't just feel like you wasted your time with the overhead. You feel rewarded for it, like you're using them to start up like a damage engine for the future. That was the idea behind that. It's probably stupid too. Here's another one that I had, like destroying a barricade increases how fast you destroy stuff for 30 seconds. Destroying a door increases your movement speed. Destroying a crawl space gives you stun immunity. And like each time you destroy something, you refresh the timer for these things. So like the idea would be like to have a destruction play style where you destroy something, start the engine, destroy something, then you're chasing someone, you stop to destroy something, you know, like that. I don't know, it's probably stupid, but the idea for this is to change the play style, to change fundamentally how you play the character, to make it interesting, and be about fun. Now obviously all this would have to be changed to be like balanced, but the point is I think it needs to be significant to matter, and I think it could be cool. That's the whole point with all that. That's just like the whole point of my suggestions is to turn like stuff that like, so right now breaking stuff feels boring and like a chore. This would make it fun, because I feel like you're getting a whole reward for doing it now, and I feel like it feel cool. I don't know, like the idea is to make it not feel frustrating and feel like a chore. That's what they should be going for. All right, so that's about playing differently. What's up, Kitty? Kitty's going to sleep. I'm sorry, I'm almost done. Do you want to play, Kitty? Can I get you? What's up, homebod? Yeah, Leatherface did have like a mallet. How do you do the valve tech? Right click plus E at the same time. Not really quickly. Same time. He's got to do it. Like I usually actually slowly press like right click E, boom, boom. I'm pressing at the same time, like until it works. Some people say you have to press it and hold it for half a second. I don't know if that's what I'm doing, but all I'm thinking mentally is I got to press both at the same time. Core game design forces a stale family meta, including the cook especially. So because of the victim rush, you need a way to slow the game down. This is where the first thing comes into play. Because of this, the cook's almost mandatory. You need his padlocks. It's one of the only ways to reliably slow down the game. And it also gives you vital information in places where there isn't already a lock, like the rear porch door on Family House. Like, you don't have to worry about them sneaking out and hiding in the bushes out there, waiting to do the gate. They can't be out there if you see the padlock. On Gas Station, if you don't have a cook, you can easily lose to a Connie rushing towards the secret door. On Slaughterhouse, if you don't have any doors padlocked, then it's much more difficult to patrol to check if something's open or not, compared to him checking his padlocks in the Family Focus. Every map in the game benefits significantly from the cook. It's not that he's too strong, it's that he's the only character with reliable slowdown. He's also comes with the ability to track victims by listening, so he helps track them, and slows them down by they have to crouch walk if they don't want to get tracked. And that slows them down another way. You have two ways of slowing them down, and forces them to slow down. The cook revolves around victim slowdown and must be picked. Even if he never chases anyone, he's still the most useful family member. Knowing where the victims are is everything in the game. Even in the beginning, if they all try to rush, before they rush, you might be able to listen and get an idea which way they're going to go. Like, he's the only one that can do all that. His spawn points also put him in good initial spots on every map to defend important exits. He's also has easy access to exterior alarms, the best grandpa perk in the game, alongside Nobody Escapes Hell. So he has an easy way to get that along with all the perks that you want. That's another reason to pick him. You already need Leatherface to even play the game, and because of the victim rush, now you also need Cook. So that's two characters that we always need, pretty much. Sometimes on Slaughterhouse, I guess you can mix it up, but pretty much you almost always need those two characters or you're nerfing yourself. So now two characters and must picks. This is what makes the meta start feeling stale. Third can vary. It could be Hitchhiker or Johnny, who knows, like, depending on the map, but like on Family House, Hitchhiker's probably better because he can trap outside that window. And he could, also trap, the stairs going up to the fuse box. So you have even more information if they try to rush those things. Or you could trap outside the front door, if they're trying to super rush, whatever, past the padlock. Yeah, you have ways you can slow, like, he's also got some slowdown that he can also, and he has a good spawn point in that map. So, like, for that map, it's probably Cook, Hitchhiker, Leatherface is always the best. Sissy doesn't really have a good place in the game right now because other characters just do stuff better, unfortunately, and give better utility. You had a hard time doing it today? Long ass day? Okay, I got you, Kitty, no problem. What's up, Fire and Lasers? Oh, you had a hard time doing the Valve tech? I tested it with Leatherface, it was easy. I didn't test it with the other characters. Sometimes it could be weird doing it, the Valve tech. But here's the problem with the stale meta. It adds to the issue of feeling repetitive and tedious. It's also frustrating. Yeah, remember, my other things I brought up too, it doesn't feel different when you play the same character. There's no, like, unique real playstyle you can do besides some weird plan, I guess, sometimes. But, like, you're not going to play Hitchhiker any different. You're going to set some traps and you're going to chase him. You're going to be Cook. You're going to put your padlocks probably the same primary doors, unless you mix it up a little bit here and there. But, like, let's say Family House, you're probably going to always put on the same 3 doors. That's a good example. And then you're always going to be listening. You always know to watch the fuse. Like, it's the same repetitive playstyle. Sometimes it changes based on what happens, and some crazy stuff happens or chaos. But mostly you play those characters the same, though. And you have to react differently, maybe, but you play those characters exactly. There's no unique way to play them. Play them exactly the same. But it makes everything feel stale, because now you need at least 2 characters, Cook and Leatherface, for pretty much every map. And then on top of that, they don't feel like any different when you play them. Now we have to add the leveling system and the grind. Another problem with the game that ruins it. So now, not only do you have to play these certain characters, if you don't have main leveled up, let's say for Leatherface, you have to sit there and grind for hours just to try to be on a fair playing field and be at a whole disadvantage for the rest of your team. And also, by the way, in a game that's not supposed to be competitive, if you lose, you get way less points than if you win. So that grind goes on even longer and is more suffering. In perks like Scout, you're at an even more disadvantage lower level, but you have to take even longer because of that disadvantage and losing and getting way less points just being on family in general, just to try to catch up and feel like it's fair. So it's like almost like in a game that's supposed to be casual. Play with your friends in the basement, Wes said. Did you say play for hours and hours just to start enjoying the character? Because that's what you have to do. You know what I mean? And you have to win. That's the other thing. Non-competitive game, but if you don't win, you get no points. So it sounds like they almost want you to be competitive. And they have matchmaking. It's very strange design. It's not like a casual pick up and play. You can't just do that. You're going to lose every time. Then you're going to get taunted on top of that. Yeah, I know people just have fun. Who cares if you get taunted? I mean, some people, like I said, just like in Evil Dead, those same people, they like playing Dungeon Master and just try to give themselves the illusion that everyone has a good time. They like to let people bang their wives. Some people have different things they like. I don't like that. Like for me, I don't like that. I don't think a lot of people like that. That's why most people are playing freaking Victim, because they don't feel like they get taunted and shit. They can just leave if they die. It's not a big deal. But the grind is really frustrating, and it's bad. And Wes, like I said, Wes said the game is supposed to be aimed at having fun, yet one of the core systems has overwhelmingly negative feedback. Also the skill tree with the mystery perks, and is the exact opposite of fun. It feels tedious, and again, a grind. The system's there to create an artificial investment to keep people playing. Even if it did actually get people to keep playing, when they finish leveling, then they quit, because your whole thing about keeping them invested is over then, once they finish leveling, right? Like, that's why this is a bad idea. You want the game to actually just be fun to play regardless if you level or not. There's no point. Like, this is not going to be a long-term thing. Once they finish leveling, like, well, I don't know why I'm playing anymore. I'm done. Because like that, you don't keep people are going to be done then after that. They don't feel rewarded anymore. That's why this is bad. The leveling grind, I said this in the other balance talk, but it's bad, and the game's going to die because of it, and it's never going to get new players because of it. I've said that a million times. I've said that in Evil Dead. It doesn't get new players. No one wants to be at a disadvantage. No one wants to suffer. But they think this, they seem that, but then like I have comments like from Matt, no offense again, by the way, with respect, he says stuff like people just want things handed to them or they want it easy. He says stuff like that, especially in terms of the mystery perk system. And it's true, we do, because it's more fun to be able to just do what we want. You're right. Yes. What's wrong with that? You know, the reason we do is because it's fun to play the game on a fair playing field, not to suffer for hours. Yes, I'm playing the game. I want that handed to me. In real life, I don't get anything. You know what I mean? Like, life's already suffering. In the game, yes, I would like that. I don't need the win handed to me, but I'd like to feel like I have that chance to win handed to me. Yes, I want to have that chance from the start. I want to be level 3 main from the start with stall resistance already. If someone new is not going to want to play Leatherface, knowing that they're just going to be throwing games basically for hours until they get to level 2. It's not fun. But I am really disappointed that Wes allowed that. Sorry. I'm almost done talking, by the way. What's up, Jason? I'm almost done. But the practice map exploration is not accessible enough. It's a pain in the ass getting people to start a custom game. You have no non-stressful way to really practice and test things. Some people still aren't sure how stuff works, even if they have tons of hours, because it's just so hard to test stuff. It's annoying. I don't know why they did this. Why do you make it minimum 4 people? You could start a 3v1. You could start 3 killers versus 1 victim, or 3 victims versus Leatherface. You could start it like that, which is completely imbalanced. So it makes no sense why there's any reason they need to start a four people for it. I don't know why. Why at minimum 2 people, if anything, or just let people explore the map themselves somehow. But they don't have a way to do it. There's no easy. I don't need bots. They don't need to put bots in or waste their time on that. But why not an easy way just to check where everything is in the map? Oh, I want to see what this call out is. Let me go up here. Okay, that's that. They write it down. Like, just not, instead of having to go through a VOD, go through a YouTube video. Okay, that's that. Pause, freeze frame. Like, people, you're expecting, like, let people just practice and learn at their own rate. But you don't do that. You expect them to learn in the middle of a stressful match, which, by the way, with all the rushing, is even more stressful. Sorry, and they have no time to learn because they're going to throw the game in the meantime. And then if they throw the game, they get no experience. You see how all this stuff cycles to make it such a negative, not fun experience, like from the rushing to the experience system to winning being tied to more experience to not feeling different when you play the character, even if you have all different perks, besides just some are better or worse most of the time. Like, it's all chains together as to why the game's going to die. The mystery perk system sucks, and it's not going to change. There's an overwhelmingly negative feedback. No one likes it. Most people want to kiss ass and not say it, but I appreciate Sinobeats. He stood up. He said, hey, I can't like share builds because they have to randomly respec 50 times. It's annoying. Could you like change that? That'd be nice. You know, he at least tried. I appreciate him trying. He tried. You know, like but I can't fight the war myself. You know, if Matt just won't change it, like that's another reason this game's gonna die. He just won't change it. He just doesn't want to. For some reason, he feels invested in the system, I guess. And he feels like, well, we designed it for this purpose. Just because you're not using it for that, like, you know, oh well. But this is, again, from the first thing I said, design intention versus reality. You had an intention, and it might have been a good intention. It might have sounded good when you did it. But in reality, people don't use it like that. Like, you see it. And if you're getting so much feedback that they're not using it like that, at some point you got to listen and be like, you know what? All right, it sucks. I don't like it. But if you guys want an option just to pick your stupid perks, go ahead. Like, because I don't know what the difference means to him anyway. He doesn't care if we respec. He said it before, until we get what we want. So if it doesn't matter to him, if it doesn't matter to him that we respec for like an hour or 30 minutes, or it just depends how lucky you are. Like, if it doesn't make a difference, what if I got lucky or I didn't? What does he care? That's why I don't understand. Why not just give it to us? Make it so it's not luck based. Why should he? If he doesn't care one way, I don't see why he cares another way. It's inconsistent. And plus, I don't know why we need to even like have a random perk at all. And the last thing I said is hiding spots are usually abused just for iframes. You can go in and out of a locker or a closet or whatever, like we showed, and it's very hard to even land a hit. And you know, where you can't even grab them like mid animation most of the time, unless they're like right in front of you, I guess, doing it. But the hiding spots are so rarely actually used for hiding. And then if you do manage to catch people, if you don't have punishment, the perk for it, you don't even punish them by default. And it's such a big deal to even catch. Like, it's so rare to even catch someone that knows what they're doing in a hiding spot. But yet, even if you do, you're not rewarded for it, really. So it's like such a weird, stupid mechanic, the hiding spots, that just benefits them, really. Because there's not, you can't run a niche perk just hoping that they hide. You know what I mean? Like, it's I don't know what their expectation is for that. It's not fair. That's like expecting victims to run a perk to go through gaps or something. Or go through gaps, or if they don't get that, then they have no iframes going, or some shit. That's what it feels like. Like, so they have to just run it then, I guess, to do something. I mean, it's not, hiding spots are not in games as much as gaps, obviously. But the point is, like, that's a default thing that everyone should be punishing. Any character in the game pulls you out of a hiding spot, you should almost die from that without needing a perk. You know what I mean? Like, that's a big deal. I caught you. But instead, they take very little damage by default and can just run away. Sometimes it's hard to even land one attack after. It's very, very stupid. What's up, Pan? Yeah, it's the respec system's just not fun. It's not fun. It's cool to try. You don't even want to try. The thing is, it's an incentive to not try new things. I thought this game was about trying new things, theory crafting with friends in your basement, eating popcorn, coming up with cool ideas, thinking, when you go to sleep, oh, this would be cool to try or something. But in reality, you have to think, well, if I try that, now I might have to give up an hour of time to respec again later if I don't like it. I don't want to do that. So you're not going to want to try it. And they don't want to tie loadouts to different skill trees sides and stuff because they think that makes you a jack of all trades. They don't want you to be able to switch it based on the map. But then what they don't think of, even if I can't do that, let's say I have a build that works the best on Family House. Then I'll just dodge till I get Family House, dude. You can't stop me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll just dodge. So you're making the game worse by limiting these things. Because your idea is, you don't want a jack of all trades. Okay, fine. You win. I'll just make it a jack of all Family House. And I'll do it. Now the lobby experience will be worse for everyone else. That's the dev's fault. There's no, you know what I mean? You can't stop us from doing what we want, basically. That's and they're trying to, but they don't. So they need to give in and be like, you know what, if we can't stop you anyway, why not just let you have fun with it? I feel like that's the change that needs to happen, but they're not, but I just don't think they're going to do it. And that's why this game's going to die. It takes too long for them to just adapt or admit some of the flaws like that with the design. I feel like they pride them, the 3v4 concept is great. The strategy concept's great. Even the exit types, if they just weren't so broken, are actually cool. It's there's so many cool things they did right with the design, conceptually, that I think works. But the things that they need to just change because they're not used how they wanted, they need to just give in and change it. Let us put skill trees or loadouts tied to all different skill trees. Make it nice and easy for us. Don't make us have to respec on a stupid question mark system over and over just to try one thing and then it doesn't work on another map, so then we don't even want to do it. You know what I mean? You're creating a toxic system where we feel like we have to just dodge and pick the same build and play the same characters and use Cook, and you're forcing these things on us. And that's why less and less people play Family. That's why more people are complaining about the lobby time. And that's why more streamers and stuff are getting burnt out faster, and they don't want to play anymore. That's why the devs are responsible. They could have weekly patches forever and keep addressing bugs. That's great, but these core things are going to ruin the game. The changes to the Valve spawns on Slaughterhouse didn't accomplish their goals. There've been some good changes, like the stun lock thing, stun resistance dispatch. But there's other things that just haven't been addressed, like the victim rush meta. They changed the stealth thing, so you can't just non-stop spam before making some noise. But who cares? I mean, they still don't punish rushing. So who cares about that? If anything, they're making them use stealth less now. I mean, I agree with the change, but the thing is, without supplementing that change with something anti-rush, you're just encouraging the rush more right now, in the meantime. And in the meantime is a big deal. To quote, in the meantime, no one's going to play your game. In the meantime, they don't want to put up with that. In the meantime, they're not going to wait. And then guess what? When you come out with DLC, they might come back and check it out. They're going to leave again right after. It's just like VHS, just like Evil Dead. They might come back for a little bit, week or two, and then they're gone. And you're going to be like, man, I don't know how to sustain this. How do we sustain this? And you can't sustain it because the core game sucks. I mean, it doesn't suck, but it just, there's so many problems with it. And that's why these games die. And that's why this game is no different. It's going to die. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows it's going to die. Unless Wes wakes up and does something, just have some major announcement, they're going to do things differently. But right now, new content's not a long-term solution. No one wants to play Family anymore, especially Leatherface still. Even with the stun lock resist, that's nice. But they didn't do anything else. And now they're going to not have a weekly patch anymore, so they're not going to do anything anytime soon. Crossplay's still not on. I don't know. It's the same cycle, like I said, VHS, Evil Dead, Resistance. It's the same thing. They've been investigating a freaking car exploit spot on gas station for weeks. They keep saying they're investigating it. How the fuck are you still investigating? Delete the car. Delete the damn car. I don't understand. Delete that. You deleted crossplay. Delete the car. Just delete the car. You know what I mean? There's things like that make me have no faith in the game. You can't be, and they're so afraid and careful and cautious, and they pride themselves on that. It's not even supposed to be a competitive game, guys. So why are you so afraid? It's like ruining the esports balance or some shit that they keep mocking people for. But yet they're acting like they're devs of an esports game by taking for we don't want to shift the balance too much that way or that way. We got to be real careful and go with small steps and stuff. Dude, while you're doing all these small steps, we're leaving. That's what I'm like. Everyone's gonna leave. The streamers have the most patience because they need this game, like me. But everyone's gonna leave. Player's gonna leave. They're not gonna put up with this shit, the slow thing. And dude, they've been investigating the grandpa cutscene that no one liked in the tech test since launch. That's been the longest investigation I've ever seen in a freaking in a police report. I don't know how they've been investigating so long, but they have. It seems, do people not like this? Maybe. All right, good work today, guys. See you tomorrow. Like, I'm not saying they're lazy, but like, how does it take so long to investigate and not deal something with it, not deal with it somehow? I don't understand. And it takes too long, and they can't even fix the chainsaw overheating part of it. They can't even fix that. Can't. And this is a problem, dude. For oh man, like I don't know, man. Like it's like, but people aren't gonna give you time for this type of shit. It's unacceptable. It's just like it shouldn't have been there at launch. That's the reason that they don't want to give you time, because it shouldn't have been there. They shouldn't have made it into the game. Unlocking shouldn't have made it into the game. They even posted that thing that said they're gonna look at it and stun opportunity. They didn't. They didn't. All they did is nerf the bone scraps for some reason, which didn't do anything. And until Gun starts doing things differently, we're gonna see the same future that we see with every other ASIM. It's sad, but I'm just gonna be real this time. I'm not gonna have random hope. I'm not gonna beg them. I'm just gonna tell them if they don't do it differently, it's gonna be the same thing. That's not a surprise. They want companies just have a certain way of doing things. They have a certain way process, and it's all like some bureaucratic shit or whatever they do it. And the game's gonna die because of it. Because this is the kind of game where even if you did like a more rapid change, like I say here, even if rushing some changes might throw the balance out, cause more bugs, I think it'd be more entertaining, honestly, for a while until you figure out how to kind of tone it down. But like, I feel like that would make it a more entertaining game to play and at least feel new, and there's new stuff getting discovered. Like right now, going real slow with these little changes and little changes. It's so slow that like even the stun resist immunity doesn't even affect the valve unlocking. You can still do it. And when the game, like these changes are too slow, and they can't just be like, oh shit, maybe we should make it so they can't get stunned during that or something. Like they can't take 2 months, 3 months for these obvious things. They don't. If they were playing the game on family as much as like any streamer has, they would know right away. Like, oh man, this sucks. Like, but I don't think they do. And being too cautious and careful is why I said, like, I know that can cause more problems being too fast or whatever, but you're gonna ruin the game if you don't do some rapid, just random changes with something. Because like the same process is gonna slowly die. And it's gonna die within like a month or two, I think, completely. It's already starting to hit that like spot. And who knows when they're gonna put in crossplay. Even if they put it in tomorrow, I don't think it'll save the game. It shouldn't have been taken out in the first place. Like I said, it was a really bad decision. But now even turning it back on suddenly won't just save the game. It needs massive changes. It needs them implemented, and it somehow needs them quickly. Even if it's one massive change at a time. That's the only way for this game to have a long-term future. So there you go. That's my balance talk. All right. Yeah, pretty much, Mad Hat. I agree. Of course, you have the Sissy or Hitchhiker to counter that stupid spot. There's just so much stuff. Basically, it comes down to where I know that was a long ass balance. That's the longest one I've done, I think. But basically, it comes down to their intention in the victim rush meta and to design tension versus reality. This is like the undermining everything that's wrong with the game. Noise doesn't work. Noise is not a penalty. It's not enough of one. You're not like, you know what I mean? Like making noise, they don't care. Every single person will spam E on that toolbox almost all the time. For a long portion of the game. Only very niche times will they not. But it's just not enough of a penalty. They don't care. And the wall, because of it's like you have to compound that with the safety of wall gaps nearby, certain toolboxes. Some of the spots in the map design's kind of bad. I feel like toolboxes and stuff should be in more unsafe areas so that they're afraid to make noise. If you want noise to be a penalty, they better be afraid of making it. You know what I mean? Like otherwise, if there's a wall gap 2 feet away, why do I care if I make all the noise in the world? You can't kill me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you literally can't kill me. I know that. Leatherface cannot kill me. There's a gap right there. There's no way he can do it. It's actually impossible. So why do I care if I make noise? Like and this should be common sense. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many changes that I feel like this game needs that I'll still try to play it. Obviously, I'm not going to give up just yet, but I just don't see it. Like, you can't go slow and afraid and cautious in a game like this. Especially it's not even supposed to be competitive technically, although it obviously is, but it's not supposed to be. And yet you're so afraid of changing stuff and unbalancing it, even though it's already heavily unbalanced since the start. You can't, I don't know, like it's like you can't start by default being so unbalanced and then be afraid to unbalance it when it's already fucked. Like that's basically what they've been doing. And it's like acting like it's not already, like acting like they did some careful, perfect balancing on launch or something to get to that point. And it's like already so laughably unbalanced. It's starting to get a little more balanced, but there's still laughably unbalanced objectives like the valve and the fuse box, and it's still. And then like the thing is, moving 2 valves on Slaughterhouse, being able to turn the fuse box off after over like 30 seconds doesn't accomplish anything. It doesn't accomplish anything. I guess it's better than nothing, but it doesn't accomplish any of the goals. They're still too powerful. It doesn't like stop them from the same person. I've tested it. I'll probably make a video on it. Same person that did it could escape from the furthest fuse box on gas station. It wasn't even the main house one. It was the shack one, the shack, and he was able to get down there. And I hadn't removed any pallets or anything, so he'd have to go over them, the barricades, and he was able to get through that exit long before I could turn it back off, without Saboteur. Saboteur makes that even worse, but like without that, he could do it. So it's just, I don't know, man. But that's it. Sorry, that's the balance talk. Let me think about it. Sorry about that, guys. There's my speech. Hope you liked it. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you liked this video, make sure to like, follow, subscribe, and all that other stuff that every other guy tells you to do. See you later.